Hey, my name is Jared, and we are going to go over a site and page indexing tutorial. So if you have a website and some of your pages are not getting indexed, or if you are constantly updating your site, whether that's blog articles, new pages, new content, you want to make sure that you're able to understand the process of getting those pages indexed, how to get it done quickly. We're going to go through the outline. We're going to talk about Gmail. We're going to talk about how to check your indexing, how to use internal linking for search engine optimization, how to connect your Google Search Console, create and use sitemaps, and then we're going to talk about other website builders like Snaps AI, right? So whenever you're creating a new site, whether it is a business site, a personal site, whatever it may be, you want to create a new personal Gmail account associated for that site specifically, especially if it's going to be a business site and you're going to utilize some of the Google tools like Google Sheets, Google Maps, Google Business Profile. If you're going to use those Google tools, you definitely want to have a personal email account set up for that specific reason. It's critical to link the same Gmail account that was used for your Google Business Profile, which was previously Google My Business, with your company site when starting a new website or even updating your existing one. So we're going to touch a little bit back on this later and why it's so important. First thing you need to do and understand is how to check your indexing, right? Authoritative content has been recognized by search engines like Google, Yahoo, and Bing as being one of the most important ranking factors. And over the years, that's gotten more relevant even now. So pages that you have on your website that are not indexed are going to be inaccessible to users when they're trying to search for it. And plus, unindexed pages can actually slow your improvement in the search rankings, right? Because Google isn't seeing all that great content that you're spending all your time putting out. And so if they can't see it, they can't index it. And so it really limits your. So there are two ways, and we're going to talk about those two ways to check to see if your pages are indexed. One is just a really quick search command that you can use within the search engines like Google and Bing. And two, there's actually the Google Search Console that you can utilize. So to see if your pages are not indexed, or if you don't see your pages in search results or the search status report. So we need to make sure to see and indexing. And we're going to, show you how to do that really quickly, right? But there can be multiple reasons why your pages are not getting indexed. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you exactly how to check to see if your pages are getting indexed. Okay, so first what we're going to do is we are going to take a look at a website that we were working on. And this is for a land clearing service. And so if we actually go and look, we can see that it has 2 service pages, 3 location pages, and a contact us page within the menu settings, right? So it definitely has a couple pages. It looks like it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 7 or 8 pages. And so now what we're going to do is we're actually going to go in and we're going to go to Google and we're going to type the word site, and then we're going to use colon, and then we're going to put the domain, which would be, without the HTTP or without the www, and it should bring in something like this, right? And it's going to tell us that it has found 4 records, and we can actually see the pages that Google has indexed. And we can see that the home page is indexed, a find us page is indexed, a thank you page is indexed, and then another thank you page is indexed. So it's missing all of those service pages. It's missing all of those location pages, right? And so without those pages, this site in the eyes of Google is looking pretty thin, right? And so there are a couple reasons why this could happen. And so we're going to go over that right now. So there are a couple of reasons, like I said, that your site might not be getting indexing. Your pages may not be indexing. One is that your website is new and that Google just hasn't had the time to index it. So wait a couple of days and see if your new content gets indexed. Okay. Secondly is, you have an issue within your robot.txt file. This is a file that tells Google which pages on your website it should and shouldn't index. If this file isn't configured properly, it can block Google from indexing your pages. This is usually not the case, so I wouldn't jump to assuming that's the case, because most of the time that is not. Third is that you have an error in your sitemap file. And the sitemap file is a file that lists all of your pages on your website, and then that is uploaded to your Google Search Console. So if that's not configured correctly, it could lead to some issues as well. And the last reason is there's something going on with your actual DNS settings, which you would have to go into your domain and check those settings out. But those last 3 and 4, the sitemap, the robot.txt file, a lot of those are not usually the problem. It's something very simple that is the problem. Okay, so it's critical to connect your sites together. And what I mean by that is the internal linking and what benefits it has for SEO. And so it's critical that you connect your home pages to your service pages, to your location pages, so that when the Google crawl bot comes by, that it will crawl those links and go to relevant pages within your site and then index those pages. And so if you build out a home page, but it only links or it does not link out to your service pages in a natural way, Google's not going to crawl those service pages, right? It's not going to follow your menus and things like that necessarily all over your site. And so you want to make sure that you interlink those pages by using anchor text within the content of your page. So 1, it helps search engines find new pages on your website. 2, it helps reduce the bounce rate, which is also a ranking factor on your site. It keeps users engaged. It's also going to help with user experience. So it's important that you make sure that you're utilizing your interlinking on your page. And so that's just going to look like, jumping from the home page over to your service pages and things like that. And to do this, you simply add other pages on your website, whether it makes sense within the content of your pages, to make sure that these links are relevant and add value to your readers. You want to make sure that you are using tools to help get your pages indexed. So after you create your new content, use the available tools to help Google find and index your content as soon as possible. This will help your new content rank higher in the search engine results and get people talking about your brand, okay? So it's super important that we do that. So one way to do this is actually share your new content, your new pages, your new location pages, share those on your social medias, share those on your Google Map post, share those on Twitter. There's certain indexing sites that you can use. You want to share that content around to make sure that, other people might have an opportunity to share it. And so the more it gets shared, the more it gets linked to, the better chances and the quicker it's going to get indexed to Google. So that's important. So use the tools that we have available, especially, if you have an Instagram account or something like that and you create a new page, let your followers know that you created a new page, and that's going to help your sites and your pages next. So next we're going to talk about Google Search Console and how to use it and how to utilize it. All right, so once your site is published, you can use Google Search Console to help get your new content indexed. Google Search Console is a free service provided by Google, and it allows you to submit all of your new content to the search engine for indexing. And so we're going to walk through on how to do that as well. So to do this, all we have to do is go to Google Search homepage, click on the Add a Property button, and then enter the URL of a new piece of content and click Add. So I'm going to walk you through that really quickly. Okay, so we can go back and we can actually see now that these are the 4 pages that we have indexed, and we want to get more of these pages indexed. So what we're going to do is we're going to log into Google Search Console. So the easiest way to do that is just to go to Google, and then you're going to type in, Google Search Console, and then we're going to log in. Now this is where we're going to start now. Now this is where it's important to make sure that you are logged in with your Gmail that is associated with your Google Business Profile. There's lots of benefits to doing that. It's connecting your Google Business Profile with your map, which is going to help create relevance. It's also going to help avoid suspensions, things like that. So there's massive benefits to making sure that your Google Search Console is connected with the same Gmail that you use to create your Google Business Profile. So you just come in here, you log in, and we come to the top left and we're going to hit add property. So we're just going to click add property here. And there's a couple ways that you can do it, the domain or the URL prefix. We're going to go ahead and pick URL prefix. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to grab the actual site URL, and then we're going to put it right in here, and then we're going to hit continue. That's verifying the property that I own the property. And so now what it's basically telling me is that, hey, you don't own this property, or we can't tell that you own this property. So you need to go in and, you know, add a tag, right? And so there's definitely instructions on how to do this. You can upload a HTML tag to your site. If you're using WordPress, you can use plugins like Rank Math, different things like that. But basically what we're going to do is, you know, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add an HTML tag to our site. So we're going to hit copy. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to log into the WordPress account, right? And so once we're logged into the WordPress dashboard, you can go to your WordPress dashboard. Depending on the builder, you're going to add this to the page on your site. And for us to do that here, we're going to go here to theme options. We're going to go to integration, and we're going to add it, I believe it says, to the body section. It should go in the head section before the body section. So we're going to put it in the head section of this. We're going to hit save changes. All right, that is saved. And so then we can actually come here, and it's usually very fast. We can hit verify. And now my ownership is verified. And so now we can say go to property, and we hit start. And now this is where we're actually going to come in, and we can actually come in and put each URL we want to make sure that it gets indexed. So we can actually go to the service page here. That is not indexed, and we're going to go ahead and copy that. And we're going to go over to this right here. We're going to go inspect this URL. Going to retrieve some data from Google Index. It says it can appear in Google search. Page is indexed. So actually this says page is indexed, view crawl page. So that page is already indexed. Oh, that's because it's the home page. Let's see. Service pages is indexed. Okay, cool. So we'll grab another page, one of those pages that was not indexed. Let's just say it was this page right here. We're going to go ahead and grab the URL as soon as this is finished. And again, this is a good way to test to make sure that your pages are actually indexed. And it's going to take its sweet time. Let's hit cancel there, because we'll go to the next URL. We're going to hit put it in at the top. We're going to search it. And as you can see that this page, it says URL is not on Google, okay? And so page is not indexed. And so we can just hit request indexing. And so now what it's going to do is going to make sure that your robot.txt file is good, that there's nothing blocking it from getting indexed. It says this may take a minute or two. And once this is done, then Google is going to put it on a list to crawl, right? And so what I would be able to do is go on every single one of the pages of my site and check to see if they're indexed. If they're not indexed, request that they be crawled. And so now it says index requested, and it's in the queue. And so I can click got it. And so now I can actually go through and do each one of these by itself, right? It's pretty cool. Okay, so now that you've seen how the Google Search Console works, and you can understand why it was important for you to use the associated Gmail account with your Google business profile. And so now those two properties are associated with that one Gmail account. And so that creates relevance. You know, the same Gmail owns the Google map listing and the website that's pointed to, right? It just proves ownership, and it's just going to really decrease the chances of a suspension. And so next we're going to talk about what is a sitemap, right? And how, if you're using WordPress, you know, should you be using a sitemap? So creating using maps. So a sitemap is just basically a map that Google can use to navigate your site and crawl and index your pages. If you use WordPress, there's multiple plugins available that will automatically generate a sitemap for you. If you don't use WordPress, you can create a sitemap manually or use a tool like XML sitemaps. Once your sitemap is generated, you can easily submit it to Google Search Console so that Google knows where to find all of the pages on your site. Website builders such as Snaps automatically build your site maps for you and submit it to Google Search Console for you. So there are some benefits for sure for using a site like snaps.ai that builds your sites, indexes those for you. If you're wanting to go down that WordPress route, you're going to have to do some of this stuff yourself. And so we're going to kind of talk about that, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so once we are back at the Google Search Console, we can go in and actually request that Google indexed and search every single one of our pages on our site. It takes a couple of minutes, doesn't take very long, or we can actually go into WordPress. Now, if you are using a plugin like Yoast or Rank Math, a lot of those will create those sitemaps for you automatically. And so if we were to jump into this site's dashboard, we can actually go to Rank Math here, and we can actually go to sitemap settings. And basically the settings that are set are usually pretty good. I like to include the featured images. I could just basically hit save changes. And so from right here, now I can actually take this file right here that I created for me, and it's going to have all of my pages, all of my posts, all of the blog comments. As it goes, it's going to continually have this right up. And then you can actually set up where it automatically updates your Google Search Console. But it's a good idea to continually do this as you add more content to your page. But if you're not adding a lot of content to your page, once you do this, it should be fine. So we can come back to the Google Search Console. We can click on the left-hand side and go to Sitemaps. And then we can actually enter in the sitemap ID, right? Which is going to be that. And we're going to submit. And so it says Google will periodically process it and look for changes. You will be notified if anything goes wrong in the future. So now it's going to periodically check this, and then you can log in to see when the last time that it was read. So that way you can make sure that it's getting fresh content. So you should only have to do this once. So now I shouldn't have to go back and add each individual URL to Google Search Console. So you can use that for your sitemaps. Okay, Snaps AI. Snaps AI is a great way for a business owner, if you're starting a new site, if you don't have time or the skills or the knowledge, Snaps AI is a perfect website for you to utilize and use to build your brand and your website. It's an AI-powered website. It takes care of all of the technical things for you. Every single Snap site that I looked at, every single page was indexed the way that it was supposed to be without having to go into Google Search Console to make all of those changes. So if you're looking for a really easy to use website builder, Snaps AI is a great option for that if you're looking to build it yourself. So in closing, there's 5.6 billion searches on Google every single day. It's important to ensure that your website is visible in all of these searches if you're a business. Utilizing the techniques described earlier is going to help ensure that your site appears in all of the relevant searches, helping you reach more customers and make more money. If you want a new website or a piece of content to be found on Google, you need to make sure you're taking the proactive steps to ensure that it does get indexed. By following the advice in this article, you can help Google find and index your site so that people can discover your brand online. If you are in a large market, low on time, or need a professional's help, you can always contact me for a free market and website analysis. I'll take a look at your brand, see if I think that I can help you grow your company, get more leads, get more business, rank your website. You can find me at capstonesolutions.net. You can hit me up on Facebook, or you can just reply here and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you. Have a great day.